Ladies and gentlemen, welcome. Wow, why is my camera so scuffed? It'll fix itself hopefully here. There we go. Hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to episode 4 of Smylee's UNISCUM podcast. We have some amazing guests here tonight. As you can see, I guess it would be to your left of the screen. It's the one, the only Truvoodoo. Yes, ladies and gentlemen, the man, the myth, the legend here. How you doing, True?
I'm doing good, man.
That's good. That's good. And obviously, in the bottom left, he was here for episode 3. And I brought him in again because people don't have webcams that are good at the game. And his name is Fennec, ladies and gentlemen. Poggers. Hey, Fennec, how you
What's
doing,
up,
man?
y'all? I'm doing all right. I got my frog buddy here. We're chilling. Yeah, back in my
Fennec,
apartment.
unfortunately, is on his webcam mic. Or sorry, no, laptop mic.
Laptop webcam.
Yeah.
No, my
laptop
mic's
webcam.
here. It's the laptop webcam.
Yeah. My brain is already breaking, and it just started. But as you can see, right next to Jerm there is a tree, and that is Jerm. It's Jerm right there to the right of the tree there. So I had to get Jerm on because Smylee using all of his 3 IQ. Exactly, Lexon. Lexon knows. I had to get Jerm because I invited External on Tuesday, and then earlier this morning, he said, "Oh, wait a minute. I have tickets to a show that I'm going with my girlfriend's father. Can I do it another time?" And I was like, "Huh?" Like,
So you get me. I'm backup external.
That is very, very external-esque, right? From my experience with him. So basically, what we're gonna do to basically tonight, early evening, depending on where you live, is we're going to have each one of them tell their stories. Also, there is one extra person here. He is my co-host. He'll keep me on track so I don't yabber on. It's Ratzilla, the arty cancerous man himself. How you doing, Rat? Don't harm me. They know you. They know you.
Yeah.
External
we
has
shotgunned some
hair
noobs
again.
back in the day.
Poggers. Yeah, yeah. Germ. I'm gonna put external under your name. Yeah, there we go. When you make your
Yeah, that's fine. Just put like quotations external.
yeah, external with hair is what I'm gonna change it right now. External. With
I'll
hair.
take it, man.
Yeah.
External's is a good looking dude. I will be
Mhm.
external with hair. That's fine.
That's good. I mean, I think you beat his beard though.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Look at that. You're like I beat. But anyways,
I knew external before he could grow a full beard.
Right. Exactly.
Actually, I'm pretty sure he always could. He's
He
got
always
good
could
genes.
grow up a good
Yeah,
beard.
he's got good genes.
Some half Canadian, half Midwest genes.
Yeah.
I think that's the genes he has. I don't know off the top of my head, to be honest with you. But anyways, we are actually going to start off with Jerm because all 3 of these guys became Unicums during different eras of the game, which I think makes it really interesting. So, Jerm, first off, tell us about yourself.
Yeah. I guess I'm Jerm. I've been playing since closed beta. I think I started at the very end of 2010, like November-ish. The game came out then. I think it formally released April of 2011, and I was playing then. I was playing super casually at the time, and then got more and more into it. Didn't even want to join a clan for a long time. Eventually joined a clan, and then they told me about this little mod called XVM, and I heard of it, and I said no. Said, "Oh, do you platoon?" I was like, "No, not really. I did like 1 platoon once with someone random that invited me.
Right.
Like for 3 games, I didn't like it." And then I was like, "Yeah, they're like, you're a Unicum." It's like, "What's a Unicum?" "You're a purple." I'm like, "What's purple?" Download this, and it's like, "No, it turns out I'm pretty good." Is what I found out. And then they were like, "Oh yeah, we do clan wars." I was like, "Oh god!" And it was in Africa back at then in that map, and it was a very not great clan. But then I was calling for that clan, and then left that to join Havoc way back when. Then started doing competitive format at the same time. Did the Veterans Day Challenge then, which was like the first formal, at least in North America, World of Tanks tournament that like was for actual cash.
Wow.
I remember with the It was with Endo and Carbon Ward and Adroxys and there was a couple others that I've forgotten now. But yeah, then from there was in Havoc for a while. Then started doing Gold League. Then joined G. Then I wasn't really active in Clan Wars, but I did things like with the Otter and Bulba and a bunch of other clans.
So when you first downloaded XVM, how many battles did you have? So basically, how many battles were you?
Like 8,000 maybe.
So at 8,000, you were a Unicum.
Something like that.
Nice.
Yeah.
Nice. But that was during what? When 6? Or efficiency? What was it?
Yeah, that was when efficiency was the thing. Then it switched to Win 6 after that, or there may have been something in between. And then Win 6, Win 7, and Win 8.
Right.
And yeah, and like people were padding pretty hard in those eras.
Mm-hmm.
Like getting cap points, and like back in efficiency, cap points were like a meme because you cap out. But I capped out then because I was lazy. I was like, well, I got the cap. Screw you. I'm winning. It wasn't about damage farming or anything. I didn't even know about XVM or anything. It was just like, well, I got the cap. I don't care.
Right.
But there were people that would play like light tanks and just try to stay alive to the end and then just get on cap, like, and had like thousands of games and like Leopards or VK 2801s, those tanks.
Mm-hmm. So it sounds
but then like the stats would swap to Win 6. And then all of a sudden this guy would go, oh! I remember being in like G TeamSpeak or Havoc, and then some people freaking out like, oh, I've gone from 3,000 to 1,800 or something like that. They're switching Win 7's bull, and all this is like,
right.
And every time it switched for me, I was like, pretty much the same, like whatever. Like it's like because I wasn't really playing one particular, there were Hellcat eras and stuff like that.
That makes sense. So joining like Clan Wars and doing those tournaments, do you think it was a good motivator for you to get good? Like that first clan?
Yeah.
It sounds like you became their caller and then you ended up going into a tournament. So it sounds like it actually helped you motivate and get actually better at the game.
Yeah, a little bit. It was like a very casual clan, and it had a bunch of Australians in it too, because I was playing at weird hours at that time. And and then the C server opened up, and a lot of them were leaving to go there, and I had basically was going to Havoc. Endo just saw me, I think, just purely from stats and pubs, and was like trying to basically make pub stars like into a tourney team. And that's pretty much how that started.
Okay.
Yeah, and then once I got into Havoc main, I'd say more accelerated, because before that it's like, no offense, it was like, there were literally some orange and red players on that roster that I was calling for. Strats had to be very simple. Then when I got playing with other players that were in Havoc and in like tournament teams, became much more like, oh, now I'm with people that like actually know everything that's like going. You don't have to like explain all the stuff.
Right.
And that motivated me to get better, because it's like all of a sudden I'm on a team with 6 other guys or 15 other guys that know their stuff.
Wait, so what originally? What was the first tournament? Like, what was the format?
It was Veteran State Challenge. There were 3 tournaments. There was a tier 4, a tier 6, and a tier 8 one, and they had different prize pools. I was in the tier 6 tournament, and we won the tier 6 tournament.
Okay.
And I think the payout was like, I made like $600 or something like that.
Oh, just a little small one.
Yeah. It was based on like I think how many people bought, like Wargaming was doing anything for Veterans Day, where it's like people bought like a premium package or something like that, and then Wargaming matched the money type of thing for like additional prize.
It's like the Dota model, like how Dota raises money for CI. Yeah,
it was kind of like that, and it was, I was in the tier 6 one, and none of us had played with each other and stuff, and that was pretty much it. Then I joined Havoc afterwards because some of those guys were in Havoc, and it was the clan wars then changed a lot, because all of a sudden I was in a clan that had multiple teams that were playing at the same time and stuff like that. Bigger, more active clan.
So, during that time, did you play a lot of meta tanks only, or did you like didn't really care about stats towards the end and kind of?
I played everything.
You played everything.
I played everything except Artie. I mean, I didn't really play Artie. I did have like I got to the 212 at that time.
Right.
I basically did the routine of, when I first started out, I did not even have I bought 1 month of premium account, because I was like, I want to support the game. I'll give them $10, $15, or whatever it was.
Right.
Like, I like this game. I'll pay. But I didn't own a premium tank. I got the T-34 for free. That was the first premium tank I got.
That makes sense.
I played a bunch of games of that for money. But I I played everything, and I would grind up multiple trees at the same time, and I would kind of do my dailies. I would do my doubles. I would play, okay, I'm gonna play my Russian medium.
Back
I'm
when
gonna
it
go
was
play
the
my
times
German
fives,
heavy.
Times
Yep.
5 bait.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Absolutely. And so I went up a
Okay.
bunch of trees. So before even I got a tier 10, I had a bunch of tier 9s, because then it was a question of saving the credits to buy tier 10 tank of choice, which was T30 was the first one I bought, because it was, again, they did back in the day, they did American tech tree swap, where the T30 then became, it was the tier 10 American heavy. And they then were swapping it when they were introducing the American TD tree with the Hellcat and
Wow,
stuff.
that's such a long
Mhm.
time ago.
Yep, but if you
That was
got
when
the T30 in your
was considered a
garage,
heavy, right, and stuff, because
Mhm.
Yeah.
your beta and stuff. So how
then you got a free
long?
tank.
Right. So I guess we fast forward. What were you doing, like circa like 2014, 2015? Because I know
I
you
think
were
that was
probably
about when I
Wildana,
started
right?
Gold League.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was when I was doing
Tell us a little bit
Wigglemon.
about that.
I did not play in the very first season of Wigglemon. I played in the second season, because first season, the team that I was playing with Miserable and Zevin and Rella, we were called Pub Stars. The team split apart right before the first Wigglemon, so Miz and company didn't want to like put in too much effort to try to recruit and do things right before.
Right.
But by the time the second season was rolling around, we had kind of remade the team. I wasn't on the team before. I was on a different, and this was when Wigglemon was announced. Like, there are teams that you're playing with. Like, I was playing with Adroxus in a lot of tournaments, but then he went to Simp, and like people just kind of, it's like you ended up kind of falling into like, oh well, these 3 people are going there, these 2 people are going
friends
there,
group.
parts of.
Yeah.
And so like,
what was the format for? Because a lot of people obviously don't
742.
know. 742, and tell people that don't know what that means.
Means that it is a 7-on-7 standard battle, 15-minute timer. You had 42 tier points to work with, so with 7 players you could bring, and it was tier 8 was the maximum tier that you could bring. So that means that you would bring 5 tier 8s and 2 tier 1s, and you would be at 42 points. Or you could do other combinations where you brought a tier 5 or a tier 3 or something like that. There were maps like Mines where people brought, at the time, Bisons and things like that, low tier artillery as well. It was very campy, very boring,
Yeah.
and not a lot of fun to play. It was very draw heavy because there wasn't an attack defense format or even encounter. So there was no pressure to ever move. And the game had also changed back from what it was back then. I mean, things like the accuracy and the Sigma changes changed a lot. Like, you couldn't, like, firing on the move and stuff was very difficult. And so you got punished. It was much more defensive favored. You got punished a lot for moving. So lots of maps, people just camped. It's like, hey,
I mean, there wasn't
if you're
a lot
on
of equipment
Runeberg,
choices
you
back
just
then.
camp your base. Why would you push out? Like,
Yeah.
if they decide to push us, we win. And so unfortunately, the spectators would have to watch for 15 minutes while people park themselves in like the windows in the south on Runeberg, right? Like overlooking their cap circle, like, well, what are they going to do? Like, we've got IS-3s in windows. What are they going to do, right? It was awful. No one liked it, including the players. Eventually, they did change, thank goodness.
So the season after that, it was still 742, correct? Or did they change it to 754?
I played on Pub Stars for season 2. We got to the finals, like the live finals in Vegas. Season 3, we imploded halfway through and lost. And then the team just kind of fell apart. Then
Who's the caller?
season Miserable.
Oh, okay. I didn't know that.
And yeah, we had merged at that time with a lot of. We had joined G. It used to be like when I used to do platoons and stuff, it was usually like me, Zevin, and Miserable did a bunch of platooning, like a lot of platooning way back in the day in Havoc, and then we joined G, and after that season, when we came back to Wigglemon in season 2, we had basically left Havoc and joined G, and we had merged with, maybe that was the season 3, and we'd merged with some of the G guys, like Yankee joined the team and stuff like that. But then season 4, I was not on a team, but I was trying out for Cunningham's, and I joined them. I can't actually remember. I think I technically joined them at one of the roster changes.
Yeah.
But I was not starting because I think it was like near the end of the season, but I'd been to their practices and stuff, but I played at one point, but they did not make it to the live finals, I think, that season.
Right.
But then I was on the team and starting the next season.
Okay.
And that's when it swapped to I think that was when it swapped
Okay.
to 754.
Okay. And 754 was, if I remember correctly, it was was it 9s and 7s or 8s, 7s?
Yeah, it was still just tier 8. It was
Mhm.
basically you would bring 6 tier 8s and 1 tier 6.
Right. Oh, okay.
Mm-hmm. Or
Okay.
you would bring, yeah, that's basically what it was. And that was also when attack defense was introduced. That was the big change up.
Yeah. So what year is this? 2015 now? 2016?
Yeah, I think it's
2015?
2015.
Yeah,
I think
and
so.
that's when
2015 or 2014.
right. And that's when like I Love Lamp became a thing. Simp was really good. The Cunningham started becoming a thing too, right? I think. Yeah, okay.
Yeah,
And then
first
the
season I
year
was on Cunningham's, A. Martin was still calling.
right.
And at the end of that season, I think at the end of that season we lost to Lamp. I think that was the San Francisco finals. I could be misremembering things, guys, but like that, I'm pretty sure.
And
And
so
then
do you-
after that, we swapped, and then it was only one season of 754, I think, and then it went
Yeah.
to 768,
Okay.
and that's when Tier 10 started.
Yeah, 768
pretty
when
sure.
Tier 10 started, right? Okay. And
Yeah,
so
pretty
you went to
sure.
a couple live events. Do you remember how many?
No, I'd have to count
Okay.
a lot,
Mhm.
maybe like 10. I'm not sure.
Okay. Yeah, I know you've been to a lot of them because I know you even went to different countries for a couple of them, correct?
Yeah, the first live event I went to was Vegas. Then first overseas one I went to was Poland. It was in Poznan. It was a Rumble. It was Virtus Pro. Us. It was Cunningham's, yeah. And School Bus was there, which had
Right.
guys like you remember oh goodness, Zim, Dark God Zim, and a bunch of Ukrainian players. And then hashtag RU was there too for the other NA team. Yeah, after Poland, I went to. I think the next international thing I went to was I did a Rumble in Japan. And then had a tournament in China. This was when we were Noble after Cunningham's had swapped to Noble, and then we had a grand finals in Russia. Did we have another thing in Poland? No, I think that was it. I think that's all the international stuff I did.
Okay. And so do you think the competitive scene actually helped you with the game?
Sure,
Gameplay and stuff like that? Yeah. Okay. Makes sense. So overall, I know you don't play the game as much as you okay, not at all. Yeah.
Not as much as I used to know.
when-
Very little.
When did you kind of reach that point? year
Well,
was it
after
in-
Gold League ended, I took
2017?
I took an
Mhm.
extended break.
Because that's when we met.
don't
for
remember
the
how
first
long.
time in real life.
Yeah,
2017
yeah.
in LA.
Yeah,
And
we shared an
this
Uber.
man was in a
Well, no, we
bright
met
pink-
before that, but yeah.
Did we?
We shared an Uber either going or coming. I can't remember.
But I know that event. I remember that event well because he was in a bright pink shirt. I just got into the lobby after having the craziest Uber ride because homie was just like, I did not know California drivers were that wild. Homie was like, he was basically trying to get to the left lane, so he just turned the car completely sideways and so he could get to the left turning lane. I was like, yo, and he had like the thickest African accent, and I'm like, and Maril was in the car with me too, and he was just like, I was just like, hey yo, I don't think this is legal, and he was like, it is okay, it is fine, they are okay,
Okay.
it will be okay. and then he was like, do you want some music on? And I'm like, I guess. And he was like, do you like to rap? And then he like looked over at Maril and shit. Maril's just like, sure. I was like, yeah, put on some rap. And the homie put on some Biggie. and he was like, I love Biggie.
Was that the,
So then
that the first finals you went to?
Right after that, I get to the hotel and some dude in a bright pink fucking polo walks up and he's like, Smylee! Hey! And he's like hugging me and shit. I'm like, yo, what the but it was Jerm.
It's me.
He's like, it's me, Jerm. I was like, yo, chill.
Yeah, I was sitting in the lobby and someone goes, oh, that's Smylee. And I go, that's Smylee? Oh, I gotta go say hi. Like,
I mean, he was rocking it. Yeah, Jed. Bright pink polo. Or was it dress shirt? Was it a dress shirt or polo?
I don't remember.
I just remember
a
it was
long
pink.
time ago.
Yeah.
Could have been a polo.
Yeah. But yeah, that's what I remember. That's my first interaction. I was like, this is not a bad guy, because everybody else was just like, hold on, human interaction. Oh no. I have 5K18. I can't talk in real life. You know what I mean?
Yeah, yeah. I guess it was your first interaction with it. But yeah, when you put like 30, 40 Unicums in like a social setting for the first time, it's like a lot of them, as it turns out, aren't the warmest, most approachable conversationalists, or get nervous and very nerdy. A lot of internet video game. We all played internet tanks. So we would say, like, right? It's like, and we're good at it. Like, you know, we're and it's, takes a little. So I like to kind of ice break with some of them. Just like, let's just find out if this person can just, everything's cool. Can we just chat?
Yeah. Some of them were surprising. Some of them talked a lot more than online. Like Fixer Reloaded. He talked a lot. He would, like, the whole time during that, he was just like standing behind me because he's like 6'3", 6'4", and he would just whisper shit about other people. And I'm just like, yo, what the fuck? He was like, I think he was like, if I remember correctly, like, he was like, yo, why is X dad British? And I'm just like, I don't know. He's like, hi, mate, I'm Exit's dad, yeah? Hey, how you doing? I'm like, what the? I was like, I was like, yo, why don't you have an accent? And he's just like, I don't know. Stop asking me, bro. Because everybody was asking him why he didn't have a British accent.
When you went to your first live event, Smylee, was it what you expected? Like meeting the people that you basically spend hours and hours in Discord, TeamSpeak, whatever, playing Clan Wars, all that stuff.
Right.
Did it meet expectation? Was there any, like, me and him, like, we used to argue all the time, but now we're, like, actually eye to eye, and, well, he's really little or he's really big, and, like, maybe I should be nicer to him, or, like, was there any of that type of feeling?
No, I didn't have really any animosity towards anybody. It was really cool. I even, like, had to escort X-Soldier drunk as shit to the corner store to get more liquor, right? So stuff like that. And then they were like,
that's not fair. He's very small frame.
He is.
He
like
doesn't have to drink very much.
5'2.5". But I don't know.
First time I met him, we were the first two arriving on a flight to, I think it was California. It was LA or something like that at LAX. And he gets off the plane. I had just arrived like 10 minutes early, and we were at baggage claim. Met up. We hadn't met really, or like we had met before, but like we were on different teams and we hadn't like talked or anything. We didn't know each other. He's just like, I need a cigarette, is what he said. He just had to go outside, smoke a cigarette. I'm like, this little man, he gets very angry, very angry. I love X-Soldier, by the way. He gets very angry in game because he gets very tense. But he's just a little guy, a little nice fella.
So you said after Wilgona, I guess the motivation just wasn't there, right? Because you, at that point, you were making so much money playing the game that playing the game without monetary gain, I guess, was kind of like, meh.
Yes and no. I mean, when I started Wilgona, there wasn't very much money in it at all. The prize pool increased quite substantially. The first live finals I went to, we were pretty much just trying to break even by going to the finals, because that first time it was like, I'm going to hang out with Miz and Zevin and Rella and stuff, the guys that I hang out with in TeamSpeak every night, playing pubs for hours before we even streamed or anything. And it was like, this is cool. We get a free weekend in Vegas and Yankee and stuff. You know, it's like we all get to go hang out in Vegas. This will be fun. We'll have beers and drinks and stuff, right? Like that's kind of what the motivation was can we play well enough that we get to kind of have a paid vacation?
Right.
Then the money changed and it got, a lot better. And yeah, I think it was more just, I liked the adrenaline and the competition a lot. The money was secondary. It was nice, don't get me wrong, but it was mostly for being able to have bragging rights and try to like just, it's like a hobby. Like I was just very into it.
Right.
And then, yeah, once it was gone, it was like, I'd been going so hard at it for so many years with only small breaks. It was like, okay, I'm just going to kind of decompress for a bit. Then I came back a few months later. I don't remember how long. I remember I was like, I never played The Witcher. I went and played The Witcher. I was like, I never finished Skyrim. I'm going to play Skyrim. Like, I was like, I Skyrim came out when I started playing World of Tanks. It's like pretty much the same time, and I was like, I never got around to finishing Skyrim. I was playing World of Tanks all the time. So then I did that, and then I was like, okay, I'm ready to go back. And then I was streaming a bunch for a couple of years, and yeah, it was fun. It was fun streaming.
It was fun streaming the game.
Yeah.
Okay. And so to close it off, is there any tips, tricks, kind of things that you think made you as successful as you were kind of when you played the game active? What could you give people that, are kind of almost there, but what tips would you give them?
The resources are more readily available nowadays than they used to be. You guys have like Twitch streams much more in depth and a lot more kind of easy way to have analytics for it. But I'd say the thing that you can't get from that is probably attitude and mindset. It goes not just with tanks. You have to really be able to take criticism, not just from others, but also yourself. Like, you have to be able to accurately say, what did I do wrong in this game, or what could I have done differently? And when to accurately be able to tell yourself, I need to do something, change something up, or without kind of going to pieces or getting angry or whatever. And that's a very difficult thing to have in general. And yeah, like, no matter how good your aim is or your reaction time, you just have to be able to be self-critical and constructive, though, with it. Don't tear yourself apart.
Right.
And that's probably the best advice I would give.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for that. Really appreciate it. This is a really interesting story because we had, so basically Jerm is kind of like that original era, right? Straight out of beta. And then he basically got the first taste of competitive and sustained that until actually competitive was gone, literally until 2017. That's kind of why I had him on. External was a little bit the same, not as much, but he was there and he did a really good job. And obviously he was in first place, I think the last 2 years with Elevate. And so obviously a lot of interesting stories there for going to Moscow and fighting the other two. But Jerm, just as good, just in depth with all that stuff.
I could tell a story about External in China, since he's not here to defend himself.
Ooh, okay. You guys want to hear the juicy stuff? Let's hear the juicy stuff. Yeah. Look at
That's not the... External's like tuning in right now, like, stop. There's just, I won't go too much into detail. Let's just say we lost our match. We bonded very heavily with the Korean and Japanese teams because they both hated Elong at the time, the Chinese team, as much as we did. And we had a very fun night, and we found out in China those very, not weird, but like very, their grain alcohol is very strong. And External had a great night. Everyone had a great night. And we all had a terrible next day. I'll leave it at that. External can tell whatever parts of that story that he wishes to remember or can remember to let you know. And maybe when he comes on next week, if he is allowed to.
Okay. And so obviously our next era is none other than Truvoodoo. How are you doing? Tell us a little bit about yourself for those that don't know about you.
Yep. I actually just looked while you guys were chatting, and I found out, so there's this site called WAT-Info, which is what I had to look on when I played Xbox. And I started playing, I think 2014, because I couldn't remember, but it says June 2014.
Yeah.
So yeah, I started on Xbox, and I played about 8,000 battles there. And the reason I started, because I gamed all the time. Like, I played mostly first-person shooters, and my friends are like, hey, you should try this game out, because they really liked it. So that's how I started playing World of Tanks. And I hated it at first. So I quit for like a year, and then I came back. But yeah, I basically played on console for like a year before switching to PC. And actually, I was looking at my stats. I was Unicum on console, so I think Jerm said about 8,000 battles, and my overall is 8,000. And it shows 2,700 win 8 for console. But
so
I remember how this.
Why? I think this is a really good question. Why make the switch? What was that the factor?
It wasn't intentional at first. Like, I was just taking a break from gaming, and I remember selling my Xbox.
Same.
And so I didn't play any games for a while. And then I eventually got a PC and I got back into it just by chance. So it was kind of a bummer because I had to start over, and like regrind all the stuff that I hated playing when I started playing
Right,
on
but you
console.
probably played it a lot better, right? The second time around on mouse and keyboard, or kind of not really.
It was hard. It was really hard to switch. Like there's things that on console that are very different. So like on console, when you go into sniper mode, you're always looking right where the barrel's pointed. But on PC, I would go into sniper mode and I would shoot, but I'm actually like aimed somewhere else because I didn't understand there's a disconnect.
Oh, right.
If that makes sense.
Yeah.
So I'd be like shooting at a guy, I'd be like, where are my shots going? They're like behind me, or like my barrel's pointed somewhere else, So yeah, there's things I had to get used to. There's different maps, different tanks, like because it's the same game, but kind of ran by a different company, I guess. Like different groups run it and they set the rules and stuff. But yeah, so I had like some advantage, but I had to regrind again. I hated that so much.
And so just a little bit about kind of maybe the first clan you joined, or kind of what your goals were from switching obviously from console to PC. Like, were you trying to be a good player from the very get-go, or were you just trying to have fun?
So at first it was just having fun, but I am always motivated about like being good at games I play. That's like
Yeah, I
a
feel
big
that.
motivation for me. And but like my friends that got me into console, they're like, yo, check this out. We should get this tank. Like, so it was a T67, or like it's so fast. And so they'd be like, follow me. And we just like YOLO arty every game. We do stuff like that.
Right.
So like I wasn't like stat padding. I was just having fun for a lot of console. But then eventually I met this group that were from EU, and they were telling me about things like how there's clan wars and skirmishes and WNA. I didn't know what that was until they told me.
Right.
And I think it was around that time that they started showing me like medium tanks are really good, because I just thought like, oh, KV1 and armor, the low tier player journey. You're like, I can't pin that tank. I need to get that tank. And then I started learning that like medium tanks were better, or I mean, not better, but like they had a place and speed was important. So then they started telling me about all this stuff, and I started looking at WNA, and I was like, okay, I want to try to make this higher. And so when I started PC, like I was trying to get my stats better, but I didn't play clan stuff or anything at first.
Okay.
I would just try to have good games and get good damage, basically.
So what was your first clan then?
It was a tier 6 clan called EMPRR that probably no one knows.
Right.
But yeah, I played with them, and I don't know. They're like a tier 6, tier 8 clan. That was back when there was tier 6 and tier 8 clan wars.
Right.
'Cause
Yeah,
eventually
I
it just
remember the Jerm actually didn't mention it, but back then, for those of you that didn't know, there was clan wars used to the I guess you would call it campaigns, used to be really long because it used to start off with the tier 6 campaign that used to be like 2 weeks, then the tier 8 campaign used to be another 2 weeks, and then the tier 10 campaign was like maybe 4 weeks depending on the campaign that they had originally, for like stuff like the M6, the very original tanks. And sometimes it wasn't even 4 tanks. Sometimes wasn't it just for like an insane amount of gold that today they would just like never reward. Like I remember some of the rewards being like 3 million gold. Like everybody has. I remember playing this game and making so much gold per week. I didn't know what credit grinding was. You would literally just see me on stream convert 50k gold to credits to play tier 10. Like, look at Jerm
Nice.
smirking because he knows what I'm talking about. Like, it was insane. It was literally insane. 60-day
That's also
campaign.
why a
What the
lot of
fuck?
people
Yeah,
quit.
it was a 60-day campaign back then. It was.
We
Wasn't
won.
that-
I got like 100 and some thousand
Yeah,
gold from
yeah,
it.
from it, yeah.
Personally, like me, like my
Yeah,
clan
just
got
him
a
by
whole
himself.
bunch.
Yeah, but true. So what was the first? Go ahead. Or did you have a question?
Yeah, wasn't that at that point like the clan leadership had the ability to divvy out the gold and stuff? So they'd have
Yes.
like a treasury. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. So you had to
And
hopefully
then
trust them.
yeah, if something went wrong on RU, where basically then it became a undercutting wargaming, where it's like we can sell you gold in game for it's gonna cost you $10 for 1,000 gold, we'll sell it to you for 5. It's like, and we'll put you in the. That's how basically they had to stop
they
that,
got. Yeah, that's how they took that out.
Right. That's why I got into competitive though, because I mean we didn't have extra money, so like I couldn't buy gold and premium time, so competitive was a way to earn gold and stuff like
It
that.
was.
So I found that out, so I would start doing like clan wars. I even did tournaments for a little bit, like right before they stopped doing the tournaments where you can make like 10,000 gold or
A week, yeah,
you know,
easily.
yeah,
Those were the good
Skirmishes.
days. Oh my goodness.
yeah. So I remember having like my first premium tank. I bought it on PC, and it was a CDC because I bought it because it was cheap, like the cheapest one. You know,
Hey, CDC gamer.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And I hated it so much, but I mean, I played it.
Hey, it's not as bad as mine. Mine was a Yak Tiger 88. Oh
Okay,
yeah.
yeah,
I was like, oh, it's cheap. It must be. It's like can't be that bad, right? Actually,
yeah.
no, it wasn't even. It was worse than that. It was the Panzer IV-S. The Panzer IV-S, the tier 6. It was just a shitty VK.
Right.
I think I legitimately still have like. I think I have a 45% win rate and like 300 battles in that thing.
That's right. I did have a tier 6 first, so I think it was the
Yeah.
Cromwell B. I got that. Yeah.
That's a
for
good one
Clan
though.
Wars.
That's like
Yeah.
you made the right choice. I was coping because I played it and I played badly, and I remember going back and trying to fix the stats, and it's just like, wait a minute, it's not me, it's the tank. So what was the first good clan? Was it Maho or was it something else? It was.
I went straight from EMPRR to Maho.
Okay.
Because with EMPRR, I basically took like an exec position and was the main caller. So like I learned really fast about competitive play, and then that helped me get into Maho basically.
Nice. And
Yep.
so
And then I was burned out on calling though, because it is actually a crazy amount of time I'd put into like doing strat sketches and teaching. And so when I joined Maha, I'm like, I'm not calling. Like, I don't know if you'll want me to, but like, I'm just gonna play for you guys, and that's how that went.
Yeah, and I think that's around the same time, because that's when we met, joined Maho, and then obviously Knight was calling. I think wasn't Ural still in the clan at the time? Can't remember.
Yeah,
he was,
Ural.
right? Yeah.
Yeah.
So we had Ural and Knight.
Yep.
Obviously Ural was like the main caller for 18. Drew played under Ural a good amount. That was fun. That's when like the good tournaments were back then too. Because I remember, even though I was in Maho, Boba was still kind of alive a little bit, and there was I can't remember the last time they did it, but there was a well, I think True will remember this. It was Jerm definitely will remember this. It was a what was it called? It was like a clan tournament, but it wasn't, because you didn't have to be in the same clan to do it. Do you remember what that was, Jerm? I forgot what it's called. It was Champion League or something like that. But basically it was 15 on 15. You could have a roster of like 20 people, and I remember first place was like 1,000,000 gold. So
and it was like a percentage. It's like a certain number had to be in the game. It was almost like the Legionnaire system, where it's like, you can like, so the teams could,
yeah. And I remember it was really interesting because I didn't play with Mao because Carbon Ward asked me to play for Bulba, and I was like, well, fuck, if Carbon Ward asked, because everybody knows Carbon. Carbon is the homie, and he actually called. And I remember playing. That was one of the first times I played against External, because External was still in like Villain. Like he didn't leave Villain for a minute, right? And then he went to Water, kind of like towards after that, because he was still coping in Villain. You know how like I jumped ship like when shit got really bad. Like he was one of those guys who's like, no, it'll get better. We have to work on it. And I was like, yeah, fuck that.
For the old guys like me, who were in Havoc main, I would always get into meme jokes with the External and even Miz back in the day, where you didn't know, just call him Havoc 0K, and like, oh yeah, it's okay, External, you're in a sub clan, like it's okay, you're not expected to hit those shots. Like it was like that type of thing where it's like, well, I never was in the third sub clan of Havoc, so I don't know how things were run. Those type of memes never get old. But no one today has any idea or cares.
Yeah,
it's like,
a lot of people came out of Havoc though. Wally came out of Havoc. You came out of, so a lot of. What do you? So for you, True, because you actually, I feel like, are a really good teacher, very aware of like, you know, what the game has to offer. So, what do you think need to become a Unicum? What do you think the, you know, maybe something subtle that a lot of people don't think about, other than obviously.
I lost your mic for a lot of that. So,
Oh, did
like
you?
advice for people?
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. Advice for people becoming a Unicum, like, what what kind of, you know, little trick thing do you think that you use in order to kind of achieve that?
I mean, I think the thing that helped me the most was, um, I mean, aside from like personal motivation to just
Yeah.
improve, kind of like what Jerm was saying, you know, it's not, it's like an internal thing. That's a lot of it, like your attitude. But the thing that helped me the most was doing like tier 6 and tier 8 skirmishes.
Oh,
So I or like what are strongholds? I'd play those for
They're
credits
strongholds now. Yeah,
basically.
they used to be what,
hmm
team battles back in the day.
Yeah, team battles and
Mm-hmm.
then yeah, then strongholds. So it'd be like the tier 6 or tier 8. And like those just changed everything for me.
That makes
Yeah, I
sense.
don't know.
I think
It
that
kind of sucks now though, I think.
yeah, I think that we were the one thing. That's why when we get to Fennec, it'll be really interesting because I think in our era, because I'm more like I'm kind of like in between Jerm Truvoodoo, right? Because I basically started I think 2 years before True did, but obviously 2 years after Jerm, right? So I'm like literally in the middle of these two guys. And one of the things I think that we us three had an advantage on is that there were so many tournaments, there were so much gold, and so many teams signed up. Like there would be like, you know, what True was saying with the 10K gold a week, there was like 400, 500 teams that would sign up for those like 7v7, 6v6, like tier 10 or tier 8 or tier 7. So
Mhm.
like you just had to win your bracket. You didn't even have to win versus all those teams across the board. So I think at the end of that, like, you know, let's say weekend tournament, 20 teams got 10K. You know what I mean? Across the, and that's 10K each from each player within the team. And so obviously that's a big motivator because when you're getting that much gold every week, you're like, I don't like I'm and obviously during that time, in-game reward, like in-game buying tanks and stuff, that wasn't a thing. That wasn't a thing. So all we did, I don't know if Jerm and True did the same thing, but free XP, credit, gold to credits, and premium time. Like that's all I used my gold for, and then I just stockpiled it. Right?
I never had enough for any of that. Yeah,
Really?
I gold for me was premium time, and
Uh-huh.
then I did like the crew training to 90% for credits all the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I basically like didn't have enough for free XP, so I just save it, and I grinded most of my tanks and I hated it. But
Yeah. I
now like
mean,
I'm just a whale now from Wargaming giving me all this stuff. I just
true.
yes,
Mr.
yeah.
CC over here.
Yeah.
20 I think 2017, right, was when those tournaments stopped being a thing. It was right when
Mm,
WGLNA stopped giving out
yeah.
anything. They're just like, no, we're not giving
I
out any nothing.
It was such a good culture though. Like I loved like I don't know, I feel like competition helped me to get better.
That's what I'm saying.
'Cause
Yeah, it was so
yeah.
competitive. Yeah, I think the competitiveness and it kind of segues to this last guy right here, Fennec. Okay, tell us a little about
Yeah,
yourself. Hi, Fennec. How you doing, man?
I'm doing all right. I'm chilling.
How's the dorm life treating you? How's
It's good. I'm
school?
not. It's not really a dorm. It's like it's sort of an on-campus apartment. It's a little nicer. Like I have a
Okay.
kitchen
Yeah,
outside. Like
like
it's
you
not
have
like as
it's
bad.
your own space. Nice, nice, nice.
Yeah, yeah. And it's like my own room. Anyway, yeah. So I actually made my account. It was April 14th, 2011. I was 10 years old. And and yeah, I was dog shit for pretty much that whole time. The reason I started playing was because I got a YouTube ad. This is before I even knew ad blockers existed. That's how young I was. I got a YouTube ad that was like, you know, the tiger's like advancing on you. You got to shoot him. And like the little crosshair was like moving around and shit. And like I had to like, I was like, oh my God. And I clicked on the ad and like, yeah, I clicked the tiger obviously to shoot it. And then they like, you know, and then they redirected me to the page and I downloaded the game. And so, yeah,
Oh
so
my god.
I played like I started grinding when I first started the game. I started grinding for the T30, and then it took me so long because I was so bad that it became the E5 by the time I got there. And then anyway, so yeah, so I was playing like American tanks. I got like the E5, the T57, the M48 Patton, and then I joined a clan called GKC, so Game Night Crew. They had
Right.
like they had like teams in other games. They had like some like robot shit. I don't know. Anyway, they had like a so I played like some like the Rising, Global Fire Rising or something. It was like an event in Africa. It was like some of the initial clan wars. But I didn't even have tier 10. I played in the M103. Like I played in the tier 9 against other tier
What?
10s. Yeah, because the clan was just so dog shit. Like, they didn't care.
Oh, right.
They didn't give a shit. So anyway, and then I played like 15K games until like 2013-ish, and then I stopped. And then I started playing like TF2. I played Counter-Strike. I played Overwatch for a while. And then when COVID hit, I was bored of all those games, and I was like, I still have this World of Tanks account, and I saw a Jingles video, because I used to watch Jingles all the time.
You were a Jingles enjoyer?
Yeah, I love
Oh
Jingles.
man,
I was never
the sauce coming out about
yeah,
Fennec.
I was
Holy
never a
snapper.
QB fan.
He got so true friends. What about Jerm? What introduced you to the game? Was it ads too?
No, I was randomly looking for a game to play. I was finishing up school, and I was like, I'm bored, and I just want like a free-to-play game. So I was like, first kind of getting into like, oh, there's actually free-to-play games that aren't like, complete and utter, terrible. And I just saw this as a game in beta. I was like, it could be fun. So I just got in the beta and
Fennec died.
Got lucky. That was it.
He disappeared.
I
did not shoot any tigers in my
what'd you
browser
say,
or anything like that.
I'm missing True and you, Smylee, from my view.
From your POV?
Oh, now you're back.
Okay, are you back? No,
that's whack as hell. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Mm-hmm.
Can't see me?
Maybe your internet just
no, we can't see
for
you
a second.
Can you guys see him from your POV?
Yeah, I can see him. Oh, okay. Now I can't. Maybe just refresh or something.
Hey.
Yeah. I just turned my camera off and on again. Okay, cool.
Sorry. I was gonna say that Fennec is the only one that got grabbed by ads. I got two. I was watching History's Greatest Tank Battles on the History Channel. I was watching it, and your boy commercial came on, and it was like, "Do you like tanks?" And then it was like a British dude and a Cromwell, and he's like, taking out the Germans, bruv, and stuff. And I was like, oh shit, this is literally cool. I was like, this is kind of cool. What the fuck? And then it's just like, download World of Tanks now. And I was like,
do you remember the Super Bowl ad?
No, I don't.
So we talked about Gold League ending, and like a lot of it has to do with the esports, and World of Tanks is a little different than a lot of games where it's basically advertising money. World of Tanks has always made decent money and good money. But it's, competitive scene never got quite the same viewership as some of the big obvious ones, and the Dotas and all that, of course.
Right.
So they viewed kind of the prize pools and stuff as an advertising budget, if you will. I've talked about this on stream before. Then they were like, all right, this isn't working, is kind of how it was going. It's like, this isn't like the amount of money invested into each of these prize pools isn't working. So that's when they went, all right, Gold League is over. Hundreds of thousands of dollars on the table, $1 million, whatever it is. Buy a Super Bowl ad. So they bought a Super Bowl ad, and God, it was I think it was like voted the worst Super Bowl ad of the whole Super Bowl. But they just like, it was like 2017 or 2018. Like you can Google it or YouTube it, Smylee, and look it up. And it was like, literally, it's like there's 100 Super Bowl ads, and it was like 99th or 100th in terms of like the ratings. It was poorly received. So they got rid of Gold League and stuff, and just were like, well, we need like $1.5 million. All right, here's a Super Bowl ad. It did not do well.
Did not do well.
No.
Gold League died for that ad, SMH. Yeah, it did. Yeah, Gold League did die for that ad that did dog shit. Like the Like the Gecko probably. There was probably a Gecko football ad and it did like better, you know? Like, "Hoi, I'm a Gecko. Save money on car insurance." And then it did better than like that's it. That's all it was. It literally it literally did better. So anyways, back to Fennec's story about him getting debated by ads.
So I played for a couple years until like 2013, 14, whatever. I played a couple other games. COVID hit, and I was like, I still have this account. I came back. I played on actually the precursor to this laptop, which was like a Mac Air. I got like
You were playing on a Mac?
A Mac Air with like a base model Mac. So I was getting like 24 FPS, and like if I saw a bush anywhere in my field of view, it went to like 7. I mean, it was just bad, right? I was playing the 430U, and I was doing like 2.8K DPG, and I was like, shit, I'm kind of good now. Because back in the day, I was like 1500 with 8. I was like not. I was like, you know, if I got like 2000 damage, that was a good game, right? And so I was like, I'm kind of gaming now. So I like kept doing it, and when I got home from college, because that was my first year of college, when I got home from college, I started playing like more seriously with like a real PC that I built to play these other games, and I was like actually decent, and I started climbing, and I think, you know, yeah, and I think just getting older is how I got good. It was kind of like I was no longer a child. I'm still kind of a child, especially compared to these two fucking boomers, but you know.
Hold on a second. I didn't say anything to you.
I love how True did not flinch. He just like he's such a Chad. He was just like,
I was processing late. He's talking about me, isn't he?
It happens. It happens. Get older, it doesn't quite hit us quick.
You just gotta call me a Zoomer. That's how this goes. Come on.
Right. I mean, yeah, you were born in 2000.
I'm literally a Zoomer. Like it's like definitionally a Zoomer. Anyway, so now I'm like, and so competitive games was always like an important, you know, part of like the aspect of it for me. So like in TF2, I tried to play like the ESEA style competitive, and then in CS:GO, I just played matchmaking, and like in Overwatch, I played the matchmaking competitive stuff. And so for World of Tanks, like as I got into it more, and I was like, I'm decent now, I tried to start playing competitive as well, because that's kind of a driver for me to get better. And so I started trying to do like I joined UJO. I think, I don't know the lore as well, obviously, but I think it was like right after the actual good UJO team left. So it was like 0, 07 was the caller, and so this was like post Wally and like the whole Bulba formation, I think. Mm-hmm. And then so I was in UJO for a little bit, and then I joined. Aster, and then Give Up, and then Aster, and I'm in Cracked. So it's competitive has definitely been a big part of my getting better. And I joined the Bears for the first season of 5v5 as like a perma bench, or not 5v5, 6v6.
Okay.
Yeah. So I joined the Bears, and I was just a perma bench. I played like one game, which we didn't even try because we were first place, and I won, and I got the mouse mat that I'm still using, actually. Mm-hmm. I was like, so I tell people I'm a professional gamer.
Oh God, please. Oh my God.
But so I think definitely competitive has been a big part of my both motivation and the reason why I got better at the game. But I think they don't go hand in hand all the time nowadays. I think it's a little bit divorced of like, because there's people like Magnan, Bar, or like Zeta, or like Jordan even.
Oh wait, hold on, Jerm looking around like, who are those names?
Yeah, right. Yeah, like the Zoomer generation. Yeah.
Do you know any of those guys?
Say them again. Jordan and who?
Jordan and Zeta. And
also, Fennec, your mic fucked up as soon as it was your turn, by the way.
For real?
Yeah.
Sick. Love that. My favorite. No, it's like Magnan and Bar are probably the two, and they're like insane in pubs, right?
Okay, Magnan and Bar is what we said.
Yeah, that's
never heard of them.
Yeah, and they're like like Bar like doesn't play competitive, and
and
Magnan
Bar has openly stated that he's dog shit in competitive, and he won't play it.
Like the skill sets are very different. So getting like there's to the average pubby, like a really good competitive player will be really good at pubs, but like to be insane in pubs, your mindset has to be very different from being good and competitive.
And then Magnan keeps on trying to help Ruev and gets his shit clapped.
Right. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
he's gonna blacklist me now.
On which account? Which account is he blacklisting from?
Well, probably
which
my league one, the one I 60 TP'd him in when he was at a 57. But
it's a shame though. I'd say like pubs aren't necessarily. It's what we define as good in pubs. Because if it's pure damage farm, marks of excellence, highest DPG possible in this tank or whatever, then yes, to an extent, right? Like, I mean, there's some things that translate over, like being able to aim, good decision making, all that stuff, right? But I'd say if you were to say run platoons, and I used to do this a lot when I used to stream and stuff, is if you ran platoons with, say, teammates, and you were saying, look, it's not about DPG, we're going to win every single game, and you're just running 3 tanks, you can use a lot of the same skill sets as you would use in competitive, where you're like, we're doing 95% win rate or higher in our session tonight, period. And if that's the goal, then pubs can be, being good in pubs can be that, but you won't be getting, 6k DPG if you're running 3 IS7s together, right? But you're going to do things like sharing HP, adjusting, focusing fire, shielding each other, all that stuff would come into play. But
for sure, no, I agree. Yeah. I think that's also a generational definition of being good in pubs, because you assign a little bit more weight to actually winning than someone like me or modern.
I think
DPG
all 3 of us
came
from
metric.
a generation where winning was a thing.
Yeah.
Whereas like your generation is like, I'll do 7K and throw the game, and I'm the best, bro. And we're over here like, bro, you could have won that for 6.5.
With win 6, and then it became good players were players that had high win 6, and that meant I play a Hellcat and I get 3 shots of damage. So it just depends on what you consider good. But yeah, like no, people were still damage farming even back then too. It was just what is your definition of good?
The HP pool wasn't as good. A lot of the tanks were just dog. The only thing you could HP farm in back in the day was just like there was a very few tanks, and there was like a very few people that like were like doing that in that meta, right? You had people like Yatagami. He was averaging like 4,500 over like 8,000-9,000 battles in the 62A. Which during that era was just insane. Like 4,500 in a 62A, like over 4K was just insane.
And even later on, like running triple bat chats, I would say, I don't know, I guess you don't have like Smurf accounts or whatever. That is a lot of fun. Like doing that with I remember I did that with External and Impact and Dodo and stuff a lot. And Impact would specifically say it's like you're on a map where it's like, it makes you take 3 bat chats somewhere. It's like you're on mines and be like, well, we're just gonna go to the hill, right? No, like Impact would deliberately make us go to like places that you don't go to, or you shouldn't go to, and it's like we're gonna play our way out of it, and people will never expect it. It's a lot of fun to do stuff like that, even when the bat chat was not meta, by the way.
Yeah, Carbon Ward was doing like 4,500 in the U100 back in the day, right? IS7 4K. Velatio was doing like I think he did like 4,800 and like a patent, like back in the day, right? This is when like your equipment choices were like V-Stab, Rammer, Vents, or Optics, right? And he was doing like 4,800. So there were people that farmed damage. They were just like the amount of them were so much. It was like just so much smaller. I think like right off the top of my head, if I could think of like more people like Vetro, a lot of people like Vetro was like he did like I think he did 4,500 in like an Action X and 3 marked it or something, which was insane, because even when the Action X was brand new, it was dog shit. It still is dog shit, in my opinion. Like, it's definitely 4K. You can do 4K in it now, right? Especially with the equipment choices we have nowadays, right? Like aiming unit or something or whatever. But or even like the field
took
mods
a while to
probably
adjust to competitive too.
Yeah, and
but then he became one of the best competitive players too. Like, I mean, his first season or two, he was like that guy that's like, oh, he's doing the damage farmer thing in the back and kind of didn't know how to get closer. I'd say the really good players can do that and then know when to get close to fight. Vetro became one of the best players in the league when
most of the people I mentioned were actually WGLNA players at one point or another, or like at least played some.
I put Dodo in that list too. He was able to farm a bunch and able to do that. I was gonna
mention Canadian Impact and Dodoma were also easily 4K plus guys, easily. Hell, I think Canadian Impact has thousands of battles in his bat chat with 4K, if I remember right.
Probably, yeah.
And I can't remember. There was a couple other guys. There was one dude that basically did what like Magnan does nowadays, but back in the day, he would just play a whole bunch of accounts and do like 4K or 5K and like all these accounts. I forgot what his name was though.
Do you have the people that also Carbon? Carbon, if you're listening, will maybe vouch for this. Some of these people also would specifically play at specific hours and on specific server choices as well.
That still happens. Yeah,
that
definitely still happens.
That still happens.
The 5 a.m. gamers, you know, like
yeah, it's definitely a thing, and it's
like
100%
a thing.
I think it's also it's like when I came back into the game, like 3K DPG, 3K Win 8 was like a decent, you know, you were a decent player, like you were starting to enter like top end players. Even in like the couple years I've been playing, it's gone like if you're not doing 4K, you're like, you know, that's bad, man. Like that's real bad. So it's I think the metric it's just because the power creep is a very real thing, and like DPMs have gone up, mobility's gone up. Like, you know, heavies that have 4K DPM and they go 65, and they're just like it's insane. Like that never would have happened even a couple of years ago. So yeah,
hardening, dude. You've got your generation has hardening. You've got all this extra HP to farm.
Yeah, no, I agree.
I can't like, dude. When an autoloader, so when you overpoked in our generation, and an autoloader started clipping, whoo. Especially like 57, 50B. Oh my goodness.
Waffles?
Oh my goodness. Yeah, waffles.
And you have one kit and you get tracked and ammo racked and you're like, and I'm using small kits.
The one kit era was so I 3-marked the 907 with one kit, one use. Do you know how I broke a keyboard actually?
I remember honestly getting like when you get like ammo racked in the first like minute of a game, like you poke because you're like a puppy and it's 2012.
No, the 907 had really terrible ammo rack. It actually got buffed. The ammo rack got buffed, and it still gets ammo rack a lot. So I remember it was a mines game. I went E4. I got I got the good spawn, right? They can take the hill. So I'm like, oh, I'm gonna farm these guys. A whole bunch of guys are going uphill. Leo turns over to me, snaps me, right? Ammo racks me. I fix it. 62A pulls up like not even 30 seconds later, right? I have like 2,800 damage or something, and he ammo racks me, snaps me, ammo racks me again, and I'm like, man, and I literally only took 2 shots, right? Like, I'm at the point where I just took 2 shots. I'm like, okay, it can't get like any worse, right? And then an M5355 splashed, and my turret blew up. My turret just flew off, and I was like, huh? And I just like remember just trying to hit my desk, but I hit my keyboard. So no, I remember.
Actually, I have
the one
a question
kit
for Smylee, for you, or for Fennec. Do you think that since we're talking about hardening, the anonymous mode, how much do you think that has changed the ability to damage farm or not with XVM and focus and all that stuff?
Before we get into that, I have one more question for Fennec.
Oh yeah, go.
So what tips do you think, especially from your era, make a Unicum, right? Like these two answered. But is it similar, or do you think the play style is different, the mindset?
Yeah, I mean, I'm gonna get flamed for this because, like, there's people who are way better than me from this era. But I think a lot of it is about maximizing every game and being very consistent in every game and making choices that, over the long term will consistently provide you with a certain amount of damage. Because there's certain plays that are like high risk, high reward, and for me, I think like people like Magnan and Bar would probably say otherwise, but I think for me, like I avoid super high risk, high reward positions, like immediately going bull from 2-line on cliff in pubs is like I never do it at this point because there's just such a high risk of like you just get YOLO'd by like a Fosh B and you just die like in 2 minutes and you do 0 damage, and that's like over the like going mid. On cliff, say like the cliff I'm just using as an example, but this applies to a lot of different positions. It's when you go mid, the chance that you're gonna like do 10K is a lot lower, but the chance that you do 0 is also way lower, right? You're always gonna have like a couple shots here and there. You're always gonna be able to like eke out like 3K, 4K, 5K. And so I think that's like the biggest thing is like avoiding positions where you are vulnerable to like a puppy YOLO is probably the biggest thing I try to avoid. Yeah.
When does that become a necessity though? So the Cliff one's a good example because I think all of us here can visualize it. Cliff's a very old map. He's talking about the 2-line, right? Where TDs camp. Also, a lot of TDs are fast now, right? Turbo and stuff like that. So that's a big one. But when does it become so? For example, like steps, North spawn, right? Do you take the 8-9? Because that's still technically risky, right?
Right.
Because
yes,
if nobody goes with you, you can get
then you're super vulnerable, right?
Yeah.
So you're at a certain point you have to kind of rely on the enemy team to be smart enough to realize that if they poke you and they try to push you, they'll get owned. Like they'll get owned by people behind you, but dumb enough not to realize that taking one shot now is better than dying completely to me if they let me just sit there and farm them. So it's kind of you have to know, like it's kind of like a game theory thing. You have to like think like one step beyond your enemies, and you have to say like, okay, like if I think they're not going to push me, but they're also like yeah, each position is kind of has its own dynamic on that regard. I think steps 8-9 is like something you can push from the north side pretty consistently, provided you have enough people coming off spawn coming with you. But it's every single one of these positions probably has to be analyzed individually. It's hard to give a general like heuristic.
Yeah, no, it definitely no. I just wanted to make sure that people didn't like misunderstand you, right?
Yeah, I'm not saying like you're always redlining. Like always redlining is also
exactly.
it's a very
always
low
redlining
EV
can
strategy.
be. It could, because sometimes winning gives you more damage. Sometimes losing does, but sometimes winning gives you more damage, like keeping people alive and stuff like that.
Yeah, and that's about reading the flow of the game. Because it's like if you realize like if you see your team's losing, like pulling back is obviously a good strategy because you conserve your HP and you can get more damage and you can live longer and have an influence on the game rather than like staying where you are and trying to hold your flank 1v9. Like that's stupid, right? But and then you also have to see like if your team is winning very quickly, you have to start getting more aggressive and you have to start taking more ground and like start using your HP and trading your HP effectively to get damage in a quick game, which is especially hard if you're in a lower DPM or a slower tank. It's like that's about reading the game. So
okay, so this is one's for all three of you, so you guys can kind of answer as you will. What kind of attitude do you guys think you need to do well?
I think pessimistic is the biggest thing.
Damn, that's pretty. I like that.
Yeah, you have to assume that like if you're fighting somebody, they're gonna do like the optimal play, and you have to assume your team is gonna do the least optimal play in all situations. So like true. because
when I fight people sometimes, depending on the like, I'll be especially like if I've anything overpowered, I always assume the other guy is going to pen like just ridiculous shots and high roll me. Like I always assume that, because if you go into a fight not assuming that, like there are a lot of instances where like somebody will come around corner behind me and I'm like ass to them and I'm like, he's gonna catch me on fire. You know what I mean? Like, and it happens because you just know, because it's just how you play the game. What do you think, Jerm? You think he's right about that? The pessimism?
Yeah, I think to a point. Yeah, like
I would agree. It doesn't apply always.
Yeah. No, yeah. I think maybe how I would word it is don't assume they're going to miss type of thing. It's like, oh, I may take a shot of damage here. Like, okay, I should take a shot of damage if I'm going to cross here or something like that. Don't get yourself in the like, oh no, I took that shot of damage, because then you take 2 and you go, oh, I thought I wasn't going to take any, and then you give up, and mentally you very quickly end up in a situation where you're losing before you even start. And yeah, I think you pointed out earlier,
right?
Attitude of just like getting those last couple shots is very important.
Yeah. Do you have the TeamSpeak, Magnan? I'll let you pull up real quick. I'm not gonna put you on cam though, because it'll take too long. I guess Magnan wants to. I think you must have made him mad, Fennec, or something.
I think I probably did. Yeah. Yeah, he's gonna come talk some shit about my DPGs. So true,
you agree with them?
Yeah, I've learned my lesson enough that like just don't play certain odds.
True.
Like, oh, if I sit for one more shot, this E4 he'll miss because he's inaccurate, and then like the puppy's like right click, left click, and like they just hit you. So like
that's so
I don't
good,
know.
Yeah.
Like anything could happen. So yeah, and like talking about, I guess like I play a lot based on like probability when I do things. and you kind of get used to like the look of something, and like you can kind of predict what will happen.
Mm-hmm.
So like I kind of play the odds. And like one thing that helped me a lot too is like I'll be pushing, I'll be like, okay, if he shoots me, he can shoot me 2 more times, and then I can survive that on this push, and I have a chance to like brawl and kill him. But like I also count for RD damage now too.
True.
I've learned so much that like
Or
throws off
stun.
my whole
It's not
thing.
even the damage sometimes, it's the stun, because it's having your crew potential, right? And your reload.
Right.
You know, so
Reload,
when you
yeah.
get
So you
stunned,
don't
you can be
kill in time.
that's the problem. So like one people said it, I heard somebody say it, when we did it was episode 2 of the podcast, we did top 10 tanks tech tree, right? And I had them all make their lists, and then we all came together and we made the list. So the STB was ranked, like when we statistically did it, the STB was ranked like in top 5. But when we all talked about it, it actually ended up being like 8th. And one of the biggest reasons, or a lot of them were talking about the fact that it gets stunned really easily, right? Has like no armor. It can easily get hit for 1,000 or 900 still to this day and get stunned for 24 seconds. And you could hear, like especially somebody like Wyken that plays at a really nutty level, like and Haglar as well, right? They both are very adamant that the STB is really good, but it has the potential of going sideways compared to most of the other 10 tanks up in the list, which was like, Super Conk, VZ55, stuff like that. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that speaks to like the lack of consistency. It's less consistent because it has those games where it just gets completely owned by Artie, and there's nothing you can do about it. Because if you want to do damage, you can't be Artie safe. Like it's just a function of how the maps are designed. So yeah.
So here's an interesting one. I guess Jerm might not be able to answer this one, but you two might be able to answer this. What maps do you ban and why? I will go first. I ban based off of tank type, or specifically the tank I'm playing, right? To try to like min-max, kind of what Fennec was saying, min-max my games as much as possible. But obviously it depends, because for example, I don't ban proc for all of my heavies, right? Because something like a Chieftain 260, like they can do a decent on there, right? So you can go first, True, if you have it kind of in your head.
It's interesting though. Like I don't really like try to min-max for stats anymore. I kind of play, like you guys are talking about how like the new meta is like damage farming, and I play a lot for wins still, but I don't care that much to like change my map picks ever. It's ever since it came out, it's been Airfield is #1 banned map, and then I think it was Dudzianki was the second one, because it was just like a different version of, I think it's called Province, where it's just like a east-west farm. You can't do anything.
Studznatsky? Yeah, that shit is ass. Or Studzianski, whatever you want to call it. I call it Studshitsky is what I call it, because it's shit.
So yeah, I never change it. Like it's just those two, and that's it.
Which one's the other one?
Airfield.
Really?
Yeah.
I agree. I mean, Airfield is. I probably should ban. I should probably ban both of those maps too, because from a streamer perspective, even from a streaming perspective, they're fucking terrible maps, because they last over 10 minutes, but it's not like a good 10 minutes. It's like, oh, I hope that within the first 5 minutes, the enemy makes more mistakes than my team, so I have a good game the next 5 minutes. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'll joke all the time, like, well, you can see my team is doing nothing and the enemy team is doing nothing, which means we are both playing this map correctly.
Yeah,
just stupid.
That makes sense. So those are good maps, I have to admit. So
I fanned Airfield since it started. And by the way,
really?
Smylee, that miserable guy who quit before you like started playing, he used to always say, well, we won Airfield because their team pushed before our team did, or their puppies pushed before our puppies did, and or we just lost that Airfield game because we pushed or our puppies pushed before they did. And that was in like 2014. Airfield sucks. It has always sucked. It always will suck. It is a mental health problem. Like, I don't like seeing it. I've banned it since it's come out. I can do 7k damage on Airfield, and I feel terrible afterwards. It doesn't matter. Yeah, it's not worth it.
Yeah, I feel it. I feel it. So
Other maps, yeah, you can adjust.
yeah, other
whatever you
maps
want.
okay.
Like Stu's Yankee
So
though has the best music though, dude. Like I mean that's
does
like the
it?
map.
Oh, it has
Yeah,
that
the
Viking
intro music is great.
right?
Just but the map sucks. But you
Yeah,
know,
yeah. I think Live Oaks has the best music. Bing, ding, 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 bing, ding, 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 ding.
I have all that turned off. I don't even know the songs.
Yeah, same. I
I'm
don't need the
joking.
songs.
I
Yeah.
like.
turn it
I
on when
obviously don't
Stu's
have
Yankee
music turned
happens.
on, but I know what Live Oak sounds like because the only reason why I know what Live Oak sounds like is because when you get on like CL accounts or like accounts from that are like accounts for tanks and stuff or for competitions, like the music is on and sometimes the interface will reset, right? Like back in the day, and I just remember like loading into Live Oaks for 15 of 15 scrim or whatever, and this was like bing ding 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 ding. I was like, what the but anyways, Magnan is actually here, ladies and gentlemen. And
One,
Magnan,
two,
I
one,
think he
two.
wants yeah, what?
What's up? I said 1 2 1 2. Is my mic working?
Yeah,
Because I'm
you're
not
doing
sure.
good.
Okay,
You're,
good.
you're sounding good.
So what's the
Chilling.
question, real quick?
The question was, what maps do you ban and why?
Fuck, that's hard to answer. Okay, my permaban is Cliff. That map is complete garbage. Obviously, tier 10 is just horrible. Tier 10 always has 2 already, so ban Cliff. It's literally the most unplayable map. I'd play Airfield over Cliff anytime. And the second map is either Proc or Muro. And like it's the same, obviously it's like the same reason, right? Proc with 2 already is completely unplayable cancer. And the thing with Muro is that I loved Muro before 1.18, but they ruined my favorite play on that map, which is E2 and F2. A lot of people didn't know that it could actually work because a lot of people went E1 and thought it was the best, but no, like E2 was way better. And they just completely ruined that play. And now Muro is that map where your only 2 plays are to camp in the 1 line or to camp on the 9 line. It's just not a fun map at all.
That kind of is true. The Muro changes, I think, are good in only a couple circumstances.
They were good for tank destroyers, which is bad for the game. That is just undeniable.
That's
It's pretty.
yeah, that's a good point. I think though, top tier heavies, like let's say you're in a tier 10 and you get like in a tier 9, tier 8 game, you can push 1 line though and just rock their shit, right?
Yeah.
Like which is really nice because you used to not be able to, yeah, right? And they used to have to, no matter what heavy you were in, you used to have to go to forest and pray to God when you go over that second ridge, you don't take like 1500 to death damage, right? And so at least having the ability to play through those buildings is kind of nice. But the one thing is like kind of what True to reiterate what Truvoodoo said, I've had games a lot now where like Muro is like at a standstill, right? And they're technically not playing it wrong anymore, right? Because of they took so many bushes out and all that stuff. I mean, Jerm, me and you went over the map changes, so you know what I mean. You can kind of chime in if you want to. It's one of those things where it's good, but the changes are good, but only in certain circumstances, I think. Because even like if you're playing a TD, it could be very beneficial if like none of your heavies play there because you can actually keep the other guys back if you play the right angles and stuff like that, which is, like Magnan said, kind of dog.
Well, here's the thing, right? The map was pretty unbalanced. I'll give it that.
That's
The
true.
South had just a much better advantage.
Yeah.
But all that they had to do was to I'd say put a building that would block the FG1, the TD spot on FG1, so that you wouldn't get punished for playing the game if you were north. But what they did instead is they took the much harder route for this, and they just made a super high ground for no reason. And here's the thing, man, is that before the 1.18, that map was actually good because it wasn't so much about high and low ground. It's not like Overlord. Well, now it's actually kind of like Overlord because if you don't play high ground, then you just get absolutely crossfired for like what 5 6 different angles.
Have
Seriously.
any of you guys ever went beach and had a good game?
Oh yeah, Beach is really good, by the way. That's why I don't ban Overlord. Overlord used to be a permaban, but Beach is really, really good, especially if you're south spawn.
Because
It's
some
really
people
good.
told me when I like 3 marked the E3 to go beach.
Yeah,
I was like,
100%.
huh?
If
It's
you were
legit
running
the only play
XVM,
on
it's
that map.
actually good if you can identify that there were bad players in the heavy tanks on the enemy team that you know are gonna go to the beach, and it was
Oh.
the idea of like it was like going 2-line on Lakeville back in the day. It was like, yeah, it's bad, but I'm going to go up against their bad players there that I know are gonna be there, and I'm gonna free farm.
I 100% agree with that.
If they
Beach
don't
is
show up
exactly
there,
like
you've
the
got
1-2
nothing.
on
But
Lakeville.
yeah,
That's wild. This is getting really good. This is going really good. I like it. I like it because
And
people
wanna know one
are
thing
like, I
about-
sense heresy in the chat because you're talking about the beach and it
tactically,
being
it's
viable.
terrible. It's
Right.
absolutely atrocious.
Yo,
like, there's a
true.
reason
You
why you
like
don't want to
the
be on the
Manicore.
beach
Have
on
you ever
Omaha
put the
Beach.
Manicore on a beach?
No, there's no point.
Yeah.
There's
Even
no
if-
point, Smylee.
No, I know. I was memeing.
yeah.
I was memeing.
Oh.
Nah, he wasn't.
I was
I
super
never
serious.
know what
That was
You
a
ever-
backtrack. He was not memeing. He wasn't.
What?
Like even
Chat, let it be known. He meant it.
even if there are guys
He
like
meant
way
it.
back in those spots, like you spot them, but they're 1 second from cover. They just back down their ridge, and like it doesn't matter.
Right. Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to
Um,
go back on Jerm's point real quick before we move on. He said that Lakeville 1-2 is basically the same as Beach, and I agree because the one thing about Overlord that I hate is that the damage is not funneled at all. But in Beach, if you play the top side, your damage will 100% be funneled into 2 spots, which is so easy to farm. Pretty much why I think it's one of the best maps. Same with the Manorham line, Lakeville, maps like that. I really like them.
Okay, so
much
there's
it.
gonna be some basic questions real quick to finish it up. So I don't take too much of your guys' time. We're gonna start off with, I think this is a good one. When do you guys take a break during a bad session?
Oh,
Like when
fuck.
to take a break? Do you
Magnan-
play
Magnan's
through
the
it?
wrong
So
person for
true.
this.
So
Yeah.
yeah, because I think so. Here's the thing. The problem is when you're a streamer, breaks don't exist, right? True. You know.
They do it, like for me, a break would be like playing a different class. So like
Okay.
I say like, oh, nothing I do is working. I'm just gonna play a tank destroyer where what I do doesn't matter that much anyways, and just like click people. So I'll do stuff like that.
Okay, that's actually a good one. I like that. I like that. So you're telling them like, you know, if they're like focusing on a certain tank, they need to have a tank they can fall back on to kind of calm down and, you know, chill, get that grind set back.
Yeah, but I don't go hard like a lot of people do where they're like doing 100% sessions or where they play the same tank all night. I rotate a lot of tanks. So like
Yeah, okay.
it's easier to not get frustrated that way,
Yeah, I agree.
I think.
Yeah, and you still play at a really good level, so like, you know, your take is good. Fennec, what do you think? You agree with that?
For me, so pretty much like every time I'm playing pubs, I'm trying to mark something. I'm trying to push a percentage up. So it's like generally if I'm getting to the end of the booster, I'll say like the next time that I drop the percentage in any capacity, I'll stop for the night. Like that's kind of
Wow.
how I do it, or at least I'll stop for like a couple hours, like until it's
Right.
like a different time of day.
That's
to like just
really
let,
good,
let my
though,
mind
'cause-
reset. Yeah, because then you don't get sessions where you hit like you get to like the faded 94.97 and you
Yeah.
backslide all the way to like the 2 mark. You know,
Mhm.
I've had that happen to me in the past, obviously, and it's just like it just kills your motivation to try to like do anything for the mark. So that's usually like my cutoff is like I reach a certain point in the session and it's like, all right, like I'm starting to get tilted. As soon as I lose percentage, I'm done, like, and I stop. And I'm actually generally pretty good about that. And it's really helpful for keeping the EVGs high. Yeah.
Okay. I'm not gonna ask Magnan this question because I already know. Like this man will play 85
I mean,
battles a
I
day.
can answer somewhat. The
Okay.
only thing that makes me take a break is when my Wi-Fi shuts off. That's pretty much it. Otherwise,
Okay.
no. Well, here's the thing, right? My mentality is that when my DPG drops, I want to
Mhm.
take it back up, and I won't stop until it gets back to where I started at. So that's the problem with what I've got, you know? That's why I play
Yeah.
a shit ton of battles. Never works.
Sunk cost fallacy is bad with you, huh? Like the
Yeah.
gambling
He
is
is
also
the
a bad
definition.
thing.
Dude, True rated me when I was gambling, and like it was like the stupid keys or whatever, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna
That was
hit.
hilarious.
Yeah, see, he knows because I was like, I'm gonna reroll once, right? And I rerolled, and then it was like worse, right? And I was like, oh fuck this shit, and I hit it again, and then it was like worse somehow. Like literally went from 250,000 credits to like 100K credits. I was like, how does it get less, right? And then it went from 100K credits to like a 20,000 experience crew book. And then it went to another crew book, and then it was like 500 gold to reroll. And I was like, fuck this shit. I was like,
Well,
actually mad.
And then
So-
you finally got something good, and you're going to say the part. Yeah, go ahead.
What? No, I actually wasn't. Go ahead.
Oh, well, you finally got something good, and someone in the chat was like, first try.
Yeah.
You're like,
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I basically got gifted like 25 keys, right? Well, actually, so I used my first 5. They were useless. I rerolled on them too, because like I guess I'm a gambling addict without even knowing. And then I got gifted 5 from Ruev, and then I got gifted 20 from Rat. Thank the homie, right? And Rat was like, and then Rat goes, but see, this is bad. This is how Rat is. Rat goes, you gotta reroll 10 times if I give you 20 keys, so that you get guaranteed a tank. So I had 3 keys left. So the 4th to last key, I get the Chieftain P, and everybody was like, Pog in chat. And then the one dude said, first try, Pog, right? And I was like, no, it wasn't. I lived through 30 keys before I got the tank. I was like, yo, this dude, I said, that dude's a train wreck enjoyer. You know what I mean? Like, he's like a gambling addict over there. I was like, yo, that guy got a real addiction. He's like, first try. Oh, but, all right, that's pretty good. Okay, that one probably doesn't work for you guys. Do you guys think watching streamers and YouTubers for tips can apply to your gameplay? You think
100%.
for like other people, like go to Truvoodoo / TTV and
it's kind of crazy that I actually used to watch Truvoodoo back in 2017, like a fuck ton. I watched from
Really?
2017 to 2019. Yeah, him, Lemming Rush, Enfield. Yeah, my top 3 right there for the ancient content creators on YouTube for sure.
That's cool.
Dang, yeah. You're meeting your idol, Magnan. What do you have to say?
Thank you for learning me this game. Obviously, it's good and bad because this game is bad, but yeah, thank you.
Fennec's dying over here. I feel like there's something
Yeah,
going
no,
on.
Fennec actually,
No, it's
actually dying.
I've met Magnan in person before. So just like I'm just like seeing him say this, and it's very funny to me. I don't know.
Yeah, if we meet IRL, I'm kind of weird, but it's whatever, you know.
For me,
so
it's
stuff
actually
you
funny
say on
'cause-
Discord pretty sussy.
Mm.
So you so Truvoodoo, if you don't know, Magnan is very interesting character for NA. He is a guy that
Non-toxic.
basically, huh?
Non-toxic.
Oh yeah, sure, super non-toxic. All 6 accounts, perma chat ban. Very non-toxic player. Yeah, but
Huh?
But anyways,
Are you serious?
what?
No, he's actually lying. It's cap.
Huh? Okay, yeah. All
He's
right.
not lying. It's actually 7 accounts that are perma check banned, not 6. Yeah.
But anyways,
Dang.
he basically marks tanks at an insane level. Like this man will do like 5,500 damage in like an E5 in like right now, like in this meta, or like a 5A, 5K, and a 5A. See, he's marked like, how many times have you marked the 5A, Magnan?
I think 3 times.
Okay, how many times have you marked the CS? 63.
Twice.
Okay, so out of those 3 5As, which one was the best one? Do you know off the top of your head?
49, 82, and 113 battles.
Nice. Okay. So what's one you're really proud of, if you had to pick one?
Damn, that's hard.
It's a hard.
The S-Conk. Yeah.
Okay. What was it?
5,481. Yeah, that was my best one.
5,481 battles. Wow.
Yeah, the M4 doesn't count. The M4 is an
Right,
easy
and that's not
thing.
combined. That's damage, right?
Damage, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So that's the kind of stuff he does. So True, you made that a thing. So like you can now tell your chat like I made one of the best pub stars in the
Oh
game.
no.
Yeah.
Well, to be fair, back then I was like a 2,500 1A player.
Uh-huh.
But if I was to say who really helped me get to the real next level, it's definitely Bar and Dodo. I'd 100% say both
So
of those
Bar
two.
was good before you got good?
Oh, 100. Bar has been running this game for at least 3 to 4 years now.
Okay. Okay.
And the way that I always used to learn was through Discord streaming, which is, it's something that's kind of memed about, but I always, every day try to stream in a server. I'd have like a couple of good people watch me, tell me what I do right, do wrong. And after, a year and a half, I started getting pretty good, which has really helped because it's like private coaching for free, if you think about it.
Huh. Interesting. So I guess do any of you guys have any competitive background in any other games before you started playing tanks, or tanks is kind of where you kind of got competitive, that competitive drive? And
My biggest achievement competitively was in Overwatch. I was Grandmaster as Reinhardt main. That was so I was like top level Reinhardt player. Of course I played tanks, even in a game that didn't have fucking tanks in it. But yeah.
So like Unicum equivalent type of like
Yeah,
Overwatch
yeah.
stats for our community.
Yeah.
You should
okay.
stream Overwatch.
Well, no, I'm terrible at it now. It was just because the meta was so suited to like my playstyle. It's like, and then I could never replicate my success. So it was like 2 seasons. I was like a Reinhardt main, and like Reinhardt was it was pre-goats. Forgot. It was not. I was not playing goats. I stopped. I quit Overwatch before goats was a thing properly. It was like in season, God, it was like season 7, I think. It was
Okay.
ages ago. Yeah, but
We
that
used
was
to play Overwatch when it first came out, dude. Me and my World of Tanks team, like, it was a lot of fun. Brett was playing too. Like, I mean, this was like when it first came out, so we would just queue in as a group and everyone was new. External was playing, Impact was playing, Dodo was playing. It was a lot of fun, and I'll let Smylee. What Overwatch hero would you think Brett likes the most?
I actually didn't play Overwatch. I couldn't tell you.
Wow.
Yeah.
What do you guys think? If you were to say with Brett, what would he play?
was it like Tracer or Widow?
The exact opposite. Brett was a Winston main. He would always swap the Winston, and he would always make monkey noises when he would jump around in Discord.
That's insane. That's the character you have to aim on like the absolute least. That is the least aim-based character. That's funny to me.
But no, he would also play like actual aim-based characters, but then he would just swap the Winston. If like the meta like called for it. This was like when the game first came out. We were just having fun.
Winston was super broken on release.
Yeah.
That's funny. All right. Well, thank you guys so much for joining me for this little podcasties. Thank you, Jerm, for replacing External. Good set of hair there. Truvoodoo, let's be honest here. We could only have one. We could only have one Baldy, right? Yeah, on the stream tonight. It's okay.
It's all good.
Well, to be fair, he did make
it's a ratio. We got to keep the ratio good. To be honest with you, I'm probably gonna be screwed because my father is bald. Okay, so I'm probably That's why I'm growing my hair out. I'm trying to.
Isn't it your mother's father? Isn't it the one that like indicates?
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
He had my grandfather had like a Trump hairstyle towards the end. Like it was barely.
Oh, you're screwed.
Yeah, so I'm screwed. Like, what am I gonna have? Like a little afro in the middle right now? Just like turn it sideways. Like, what's gonna happen to me? You know what I mean? Like that's all he had. Like, so yeah, I think I am screwed. So, but thank you guys so much for joining. Thank you, True. Thank you, Fennec. Thank you, Jerm. Especially Jerm the last second. Thank you, Magnan, for coming in and giving us your takes. Were you mad what Fennec said about the one thing, or did you not hear it?
I did not hear it. What's up?
So Fennec,
I was saying how skill in competitive nowadays doesn't translate to what we ascribe skill to be in pubs. It's like you're like a preeminent pub star, but you're like not really that great in competitive.
100%. I 100% agree.
So
Comp does not rely about skill. It relies about team play. That's absolutely true.
Yeah, I think the mindset and being you have to be willing to play as a team, but also be independent in small format, and that is really hard for a lot of people to get just right. I think the perfect examples that we see nowadays in small format, especially with me and Jerm as casters, is a couple of the more methodical players like Vova, right? Velvet does a really good job. Brett does a really good job. Because Brett doesn't damage farm anymore, but he does win games. Like the positions he takes, what he's doing, he's playing for the team. He doesn't win games. But that's probably because, let's be honest here, Jerm, like there's no MVP anymore, so there's no extra money for it, right? So that's probably why Brett's not farming like he used to. Because when there was MVP, I remember Brett used to be like, "No, don't shoot him. I need the damage," right? Like and stuff like that.
Yeah,
So.
Brett would say, "I'm playing the waffle."
Yeah.
And yeah, it was. But you bring up a good like. Players like Brett, Dodo as well, but then Dodo started playing different types of tanks in competitive. Impact's a good example. External's another good example too. It's the people that were say like, let's say the Batchat drivers, Vova, like the Batchat drivers in competitive format they know there's times where they have to be the damage farmer, but players like Brett in particular were always very, very good at knowing exactly how to kind of be inching closer and closer to the fight so they're not completely on the red line, so to speak. They're always maneuvering slightly and inching to where they're really close to being able to just say go in and dump and do whatever they have to do. They're never, as a caller, I can tell you there's too many times where you have certain players and it's like, oh, I didn't call for this person to come in and they're still in Narnia, as opposed to like a Brett is like always they're feeling the instincts of the battle, and that can really, if you start paying attention to those players when you watch our competitive, as well as Clan Wars too, you'll see those players that kind of have very good game sense. And I think that also translates to good pub battles, like damage farming as well, because you kind of know when like the team's gonna break through or when they're gonna break through, and you have to move, and they're not caught out like too far away to get the last damage in the game.
It's much harder for competitive though, but to some extent I agree. I'd just say that competitive is a lot more about patience, and I'm an extremely impatient person, which is why I've never really been able to really translate what I do in pubs to comp. Obviously, I don't get as much as good results, but you know what I mean.
I would have said the exact opposite. I would have said in pub battles, the biggest thing I have a problem with when it's like, oh, I want to damage from around, I wanted to mark something when I would just randomly do it, I'd be like, I'm 3 minutes in and I'm bored. I just want to push. Like I don't want to. I don't want to sit on this corner anymore. And I don't feel like that way in competitive.
Really?
Yeah, like in competitive also, it's good players. Like some of the problems are everyone's a good player. Like even in our league or at any time that there's like a professional or semi-professional league, Clan Wars, whatever.
Anytime there's money involved to a certain extent, there's like a threshold where it catches their eye. Yeah, I agree. There's going to be...
And people don't like losing. And people are not used to losing. In any of the players in our league, or in like a Clan Wars tournament or a campaign, you're thinking of the top 2, 3, 4, 5 clans or teams. They don't like losing, and very quickly, teams that start losing start either tearing themselves apart, or like they go, oh, I don't want to do competitive anymore, as opposed to just,
you see that a lot in newer teams. They will have a really...
I saw it on my teams too.
Yeah. They'll go hot. They'll be like, sheesh, we won our first 4 games. Let's go. We're number 2 in the league. And then they lose their next 5 games. And they're like, I hate you all. I'm blacklisting you all. You're not my friends. You never were. We platooned for 3 years, but I fucking hate you. You know what I mean? Shit like that. Right?
Yeah.
Literally, because comp, I have made friends and I have made enemies in comp. It's a friend zone thing. It was a dog world back in the day. When me and Jerm played it too, because it was worth a decent amount of money towards the end there, and it got some people very venomous, I guess you could say, right? Very toxic. But other than that, I think it was a really fun experience, and I think that we should end this. Thank you guys so much for once again joining me. This will be up on YouTube probably tomorrow. I'll get that up. And do you guys have anything else to say? You guys want to shout out anything or doing anything special?
And the next podcast will be on a Saturday at 7 p.m.
What? You want a spot?
No, I just want to actually fully watch it because I'm at work at that time. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So it will definitely be at 7 p.m. just so you can't watch it.
See you later.
See you later.